Viewers, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening to this edition of Educational Tips with Raya Razak. How has the day been? Today we want to look at a very important subject, especially for the art students. And what is the subject I'm talking about? We are taking a look at literature in English. What did I say? Literature in English. One thing I want to clarify some things concerning this subject. No, there have been some arguments that what is English literature, what is literature in English. Now, English literature has to do basically with text written by people from England, mostly for people from England and from people from England. That's why they call it English literature. But then when we now talk of literature in English, that is books, text, novels, poems, drama written in English language by writers from many parts of the world. As long as it is written in English, no matter the country that you are from, it is literature in English. We have many writers from Africa, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, many places like that, Jamaica and so on, that wrote their works in English language. So that's why it is called literature in English. That is books, literary works written in the English language. Now, literature in English, I said earlier that this is a subject meant for art students. That is students that are looking forward to become maybe lawyers, maybe actors, journalists, and so on and so forth. It is the core subject that they need in order to pursue their life ambitions. Now, when we now talk of literature in English, now what does it entail? What does it entail when we talk of literature in English? Literature in English, let's first of all look at it from this angle. Literature in English, one can describe it as a social subject, or a kind of social science subject. Why did I say so? In subject like economics, in like government, we say they look at our society, they look at what is going on among our people's behavior, and so on. The same thing applies to literature in English. Why did I say so? If you look at the works of literature, you understand what I'm saying? The works of literature, you will discover that the event, those things written in those works, in those texts that you are reading, they are things that happen in the society where the writer happens to find him or herself. Literature in English does not look at things in abstract. Does not look at things in abstract. That is, it looks at things as they happen or as they had happened in the past. It talks about relationship between people, people's experiences, societal values, and so many other things like that. So, literature in English is a subject that looks at our society. The writer writes from his or her perspective of what is happening in his or her society, like I said earlier. So, whatever you read in any work of art, believe you me that this is from the experiences of the writers. It may have been something that happened to the writer directly, or maybe something that happened to another person within his or her environment. The environment can be either immediate or remote. But we want you to know that when we talk of literature in English, this is a subject that looks at societies. Those things are happening there, their culture, their ways of life, their everything. So literature in English, like I said earlier, is a work of art that looks at our society. What is going on there? Now let me take you to this book, Things Fall Apart, written by Chinua Achebe. Now, Things Fall Apart is a novel. But if you go through this novel very well, you get to learn, even without getting to the eastern part of Nigeria, you know the Igbo people's ways of life, their beliefs, their culture, their traditions, everything about Igbo people is embedded in Things Fall Apart. So you don't need to get to Igbo land before you get to know at least some of their culture, some of their ways of life, some of their traditions, some of their, maybe the food they eat and their beliefs and so on and so forth. So that is one aspect that, literature in English is a subject that takes you round the world in the comfort of your sitting room. Takes you around the world. You know about a writer, because if you have a writer, let's take for instance a writer from Ghana, the writer will tell you many things about Ghana, that is the country Ghana, the Ghanaians, the people, their belief, their culture, and so on. A Sierra Leonean writer will write about ways of life of Sierra Leone and Sierra Leoneans, and so many things like that. A Yoruba writer in Nigeria will tell you about Yoruba beliefs and their tradition and so on and so forth. And even if it has to do with modern ways of life, it talks about what is going on in that particular environment at that point in time. Now, this takes me to this novel again by a Ghanaian writer, Ayi Kweyama, that is The Beautiful One. I'm talking about The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born was a book written during the period of military rule in Ghana. What brought about military rule in Ghana, the corruption among top government officials, and what prompted the military to take over government in Ghana, and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to bring out is that this particular book takes us down memory lane to know what happened in Ghana in the middle and towards the late 60s. Many of us were not born then, but we were able to know what transpired at that time, at that point in time. So many things like that. So when we talk of literature in English is more or less a sociological work that looks at the society, especially the society of the writer, what goes on there. So takes us around the world. So what I'm trying to say now is that it's not only when we talk of government or history, civic, that we get to know about our society. Literature in English also tells us about our society. So this now brings us to, the branches of literature. The branches of literature, that is the genres of literature. In our next session, I will mention and explain those genres of literature. Until then, please try to comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Until we meet again next time, stay blessed. Thank you so much.